Hey traders, welcome back to Profit Without Panic. I'm Karl Domm and this is lesson number 19. And in this lesson, I'm going to dive deep into choosing the best broker for all market profits. This video lesson was previously done in a different studio, so the format is a little different. Enjoy.
What is the best online trading platform and broker for options trading? I get this question all the time. In this video, I want to give a side-by-side comparison of all the most popular brokers. If you're new to my channel, my name is Karl Domm, and I've been trading stocks and options online for over 29 years, and I'm the only one that has consistently shared my real P&L since September of 2019 on YouTube. Now, over the years, I've used quite a few different brokers. Some of the most popular ones you've heard of: TD Ameritrade, Interactive Brokers, TradeStation, even some you probably haven't heard of. I can't even remember their names. Back in the day, I mean, it was almost like trading on a spreadsheet when you would actually execute a trade. So at the most basic level, an online broker allows traders to buy and sell options over the internet. It's where you can manage your options trades, access market data, and use various tools and resources to make informed trading decisions. These days, most brokers and platforms can be considered commodities. The commissions and fees are all getting lower and similar, and really it comes down to you finding the right broker for your particular trading style. So the number one consideration when choosing a broker is to choose a broker that fits your particular individual trading needs. I'm an options trader, so I need the ability to trade options. And if you're here, I'm assuming you're an options trader also, or aspiring to become an options trader. These days, most brokers will accommodate basic to intermediate options trading. And that has to do with options chains, risk graphs, execution, etc. I primarily trade 3 different options trading systems that each have their own specific needs and use cases. Here are my trading systems and their individual requirements. First is the earnings edge. This is a medium risk, high reward strategy used to grow a small account into a large account. The system exploits an option pricing loophole when stocks go into earnings. The platform really isn't that important for this particular strategy. It doesn't have any special requirements really except for a risk graph. It doesn't require any margin, and you can actually trade it in an IRA. Next, I have my safe wheel. This is my proprietary take on the traditional wheel strategy. It's been back tested and forward tested to outperform the S&P 500 with around about half of the drawdowns of the S&P 500. And it can be traded with as little as $5,000 in an account. The platform requirements are pretty standard, just a Reg Chi requirement, and it uses traditional type trades, so not a lot of requirements from the broker for the safe wheel. Third is my Premier Level 5. This is my flagship product. It requires $30,000 in capital, and it's been forward tested, back tested, and outperforms the S&P with about 1/4 the drawdowns. Another nice thing about the Premier Level 5 is it only takes about 1 hour per month to manage. This trade has some special requirements. It has a custom order component, requires span or portfolio margin. So there's some special unique things that this one requires in the broker. Next, I will share a comparative table that lists out specific criteria that I look for in a broker. To do so, I compiled 7 of the top online brokers. I did not use the app type brokers like Robinhood or Webull because I already know they don't have the technology or the supporting technology for my PL5. They don't have span margin, which gives you the ability to trade options on futures or portfolio margin. So you can see here the brokers that I'm going to talk about: Thinkorswim, Interactive Brokers, Tasty Trade, E-Trade, Fidelity, Tradier, TradeStation. And I'm just going to go over the prerequisites first, then I'll go over intermediate needs, then I'll get into advanced needs. So first, prerequisites, the countries available, and level 3, which is kind of multi-leg naked option strategies, do they give you Reg T, regular margin? Can you get that? Can you get in-depth analysis tools and option commission pricing score? And that was done by brokerchooser.com because commissions are always changing. So they kind of, if I give you an exact commission, it might be different tomorrow. So I just kind of went through this website here, kind of got a score on their pricing on commissions. And also just want to let you know I'm using publicly available information online, and I also contacted the brokers to get this information. And for you specifically, you always want to check with your broker or a broker specifically for yourself before you make any decisions. Also, details about each broker is subject to change. So let's get into a little more detail. So about availability, you can see Thinkorswim. What's interesting about them is initially you couldn't really open up any accounts outside of the United States. But now that Schwab purchased them, there's like 30 plus places outside of the United States where you can open up a Schwab account and get the Thinkorswim platform. Now, some of the problems with that could be that your own country might not let you get portfolio margin or span margin. So just because you can get the Thinkorswim platform doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to trade some of the advanced trade structures like the PL5 that I have. So you're going to need to do your own research. But, if you're in a different country, now you can at least have the possibility of having Thinkorswim as your platform. Interactive Brokers is always good as far as availability. There is just a ton, across the world, a lot of places you can get it. Tasty Trade's pretty good too, expansive about being across the world, outside of the United States. Now, E-Trade has the United States plus about 7 countries. Fidelity is primarily USA. Tradier is pretty expansive. You can go outside the country, and if you're out from a different country, you can get Tradier. And TradeStation also, from a lot of different countries, you can get TradeStation as a broker and trade U.S. equities. Depending on, again, your specific country, they have rules. Now, as far as level 3 options trading, you can you use the most common structures, maybe even naked puts, selling naked calls, selling naked puts. That would be kind of the highest level for Reg T. And all of those 7 brokers have that available. And so they also all have in-depth analysis tools. Now, Tradier is a little different. They kind of connect to other outside sources for their advanced trading tools. So it's kind of a yes and no answer to that. They don't have it themselves. Now, as far as option commission pricing score, again, I used that website called brokerchooser.com. And pretty much they're all pretty close to each other, low prices. I know Tradier, I think they have a flat fee, so they might be super low. But they're all fairly close to each other in terms of pricing. And remember, the ability to use margin and trade specific U.S. securities varies by country. Okay, so check with your broker and do your own research on that. So let's get into the intermediate needs. So you can see here, Thinkorswim, it's yes all the way through in Interactive Brokers and Tasty Trade. So pretty wide, pretty good availability. Futures, options on futures, span margin, portfolio margin, and then the requirements for the portfolio margin of each one of those. You can see here that E-Trade, they don't have futures or options on futures or span margin. And Fidelity, no futures there. Tradier, they don't have any futures or even portfolio margin. So they really they're pretty limited there at this time. And TradeStation has a lot of the future stuff, but the portfolio margin is not available. And the reason why I like to use portfolio margin to span margin is so you can get a higher return on capital. If you exit your trade earlier, you get a better return on capital if you have span or portfolio margin. Of course, you have to be careful when you have span or portfolio margin. It can become dangerous if you don't know what you're doing with it. I also recently did a video, portfolio and span margin advantages. I put a link in the description for that video. Next, I'm going to get into the lower half of this here, the advanced needs column and how each broker rates. So you can see here, can you execute unconventional or custom orders on a single ticket order. That's important to do when trading a system like the PL5, because if you have a single ticket order, you can keep yourself out of trouble, especially when there's a crash. There's easier execution in and out. It's easier to maintain your portfolio, to manage it, much easier if you're trading single ticket orders. And especially if you have a very simple system, a very simple trade structure rather than a complicated one, when the market's going haywire, you don't want to be in a situation where you're trying to leg out or the market's moving a lot, because you can lose a lot of money doing that. So the major advantage to the trade structure is simplicity, which makes it easier to manage, less time consuming to manage, and the ability to unwind the portfolio and make profit in a crash. It's important. That's why a custom ticket order is important to have. And you can see here, the custom ticket order is good with Schwab, Interactive Brokers, Tasty Trade. But see, when you get into Tasty Trade, you can only do it with with SPX. You can't do it with ES. When you get into E-Trade, you can do it with SPX, but not ES. Same thing for Fidelity. And then, of course, there's no portfolio margin on Tradier. And then with TradeStation, it's ES only. So there's limitations amongst these brokers when you're talking about the advanced needs. So you can see that pretty much Thinkorswim and Interactive Brokers so far have passed all the tests. And now we have the final test here, the advanced trade grouping and management. So if you want to be able to manage your portfolio, what's a good platform to have? You see that Thinkorswim gives you the ability to manage your portfolio with this advanced structure and properly manage it. But none of the other platforms have that ability. And you can see the asterisk here. It needs separate option analysis software. And one that I use is OptionNet Explorer. So if I was trading without Thinkorswim, I would need OptionNet Explorer to take care of my advanced options trading strategy like the PL5.
In the next lesson, I'll cover continuing your options trading education. Long-term success depends on continuously learning, adaptability, and a commitment to personal growth. Click the video on your screen to continue to the next lesson.